You can sit anywhere you like. All right, guys, so we're starting with the matrices, solving solutions of equations, solutions of systems of equations. Um, so right here, we need our equations to be in standard form. Who remembers what standard form is? AX plus BY plus CZ equals R, where R is a constant or a plane number. A, B, and C are coefficients, and then we have our variables x, y, and z. So we need to go through each of these equations and rearrange them to have y first, x, y, and then z, and then the plane number on the other side of the equal sign. So starting with the first one here, we have 3x plus 2y minus 7z equals negative 29. So we need to rearrange this. We're basically just going to, wait, x, y, z. Oh, just kidding. This one's already arranged correctly. So we're good with that one. X, y, z, x, y, z. Oh, I didn't even notice that they're already rearranged, so we're good there. So go ahead and grab your calculator. We're going to follow these instructions here. You're going to hit menu, 7. 7, 1, 1, and then you're going to enter the rows. So when we do our matrix, we're going to say like this. This is going to be x, y, z. So we're going to put 3, 4, 8, 2, negative 6, 1, negative 7, 5, negative 4. We put negative 29, negative 19, negative 30. These are being multiplied together, and remember we put it to the negative 1. Yeah, so we're going to put a first matrix of 3 rows by 3 columns. And then you'll enter those numbers, 3. Okay, and when you're done with the first 3 by 3 matrix, you're going to click out of the matrix and then do menu 711, and you'll do a 3 rows by 1 column matrix. And you'll type in those numbers again. After you get your second one, you're going to click out of the matrix again. You'll use the little caret button on the left. It's 2 buttons below the control, the gray control button. And you'll say negative 1. And then you'll hit enter. Did y'all get an answer? I'm getting an error. Good, how are you? Okay, so I realized I made a mistake. The negative 1, like Daniel said, goes on the first matrices, not the second one. So if you change that in your calculator, we should get negative 2, 6, and 5. So that means this is x, this is y, and this is z. All right, when you get done with that one, we are going to rearrange this. So we said it's going to be this first one. So 2, -1, 5, 5, 4, 0, 1, 3, 2. It's going to be this to the -1 times what's on the outside there. That's going to give you x, y. All right, go ahead and put it in your calculator. And we should get -3 for x, -1 for y, and -1 for z.
James, that's crazy.
All right, ready? Next section, we're writing the inverse. So the textbook definition of inverse is like opposite or backwards. Okay. So when we're writing the inverse or the opposites of these points right here, what do you think our first point, 1, 4, what do you think that one's inverse is going to be? 4, 1, good. And what about 0, 8? 8, 0. And the last one? Yep. Okay. For B and C, it's asking us to solve for the inverse. So over to the right, I'm going to write the steps in solving for inverse. So step 1 was to change f of x to y. So for B, instead of saying f of x, we would just rewrite the equation as y equals. Our step 2 is to swap x and y. So what that looks like for our solving over here, instead of saying y, we're going to put x, and instead of x, we'll put y. For our step 3, we will solve for y, or the new y, we're solving for the new y. So if we want to solve for y or isolate y, what would be the first step? Add 6. Now we have x plus 6 equals -4y. What should I do next? Divide by -4. Now we have y equals -1/4 x minus 3 over 2. So essentially when we divide both sides by -4, we're saying -x divided by -4 and 6 divided by negative 4. All right, and our very last step that is very important to remember is to change y back to the original function, whatever you called it, whether it was f of x, g of x, maybe it was already y, whatever it was, just change it back. I'm just going to say change back to f of x and write in inverse notation. So when we write in inverse notation, that looks like f negative 1 of x. So here we would say f negative 1 of x equals negative 1 over x minus 3 over 2. So not so bad if you follow the steps, right? You can change f of x to y, you can swap the variables, and you can solve for y. Those are all things that everyone in here is capable of doing. All right, I want you to go ahead and try C on your own. Please don't skip a step. I understand that some people might think that, oh, I don't need to do this. I understand. I know what's going on. But when you start thinking that you know better than to not skip a step and follow along, that's when you start making simple mistakes. Or that's when you miss something. That's when you might not notice that something is negative, or you might forget to divide something, and then your whole problem is wrong. So follow the steps, follow the process, trust the process, as one of my other kids says. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and check your answer with mine. So first step, we changed g of x to y, and then we swapped x and y. First step in solving for the new y is to subtract 5 from both sides. That leaves us with x minus 5 equals 1/2 y. In order to get rid of that fraction, 1 over 2, we have to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 2 over 1, or just 2. So we multiply both the entire right side and the entire left side by 2. Notice how I put x minus 5 in parentheses and then later distributed. The 1/2. So when we try to get rid of a fraction that's being multiplied to something, we need to multiply that fraction by its reciprocal. So instead of saying 1/2 divided by 1/2 to cancel it out, we would say 1/2 times its flipped version, which is 2. So you flip the fraction upside down and you multiply it to itself. So 1/2 times 2 cancels out and it just turns into 1. Okay? All right, who got this problem right? No? Okay, it's okay, we're trying. Any questions on this before we move on? All right.